I'm Mark Halperin. Welcome to this special edition of Focus Group. Over the last several months, we have talked to people from around the country, from both parties, about 2024, who they'd like to see run as president, who they think will run and win in the next presidential race in this country. So we're going to look to this episode at what those conversations have been like to try to get a sense of where the mood of the country has been and where it is now regarding that all-important upcoming presidential race. Any discussion of 2024 must start with the current occupant of the Oval Office, Joe Biden, as well as with Donald Trump, currently the frontrunner for the Republican nomination and someone who talks quite frequently about the prospect that he will run. Americans have strong views, as you will see, about Joe Biden and Donald Trump and whether they should be on the ballot in the upcoming race. We'll start looking at something from November, a poll asking Americans what they think about the prospect of Joe Biden seeking a second term. National Public Radio asked Democrats if they thought their party's chances of keeping the White House would be better or worse with Joe Biden at the top of the ticket. 44% of Democrats said someone else would have a better chance. You see the other numbers there. Just as a baseline, raise your hand if you think Joe Biden will run for president in 2024. Raise your hand if you think he'll run for president in 2024. All right, Anita does, nobody else. So, those Democrats said they didn't think he would be strong at the top of the ticket. I'm wondering what you all think of that. Is that match up with your view, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, whether you think about voting for Joe Biden or not? Let me start with you, Claudia. Do you think Joe Biden would give the Democrats a better or worse chance than someone else if he were the Democratic nominee?
Oh, he's just a puppet now, so I don't see any point in him running.
Oh, geez.
Wow, I totally disagree with that. I mean, a puppet of who, first of all, and second of all, I don't think Biden should run just because he's too old. And we need to get some more people into the fold that are not, 70 or 80-year-old white men.
I think the age is a real issue here. I mean, the guy's going to be 82 years old.
Tony, I want to ask you a question. Normally, presidents don't say they're not going to run for re-election because they don't want to be lame ducks. Do you think that President Biden's capacity to get his way, to move his agenda, to have authority domestically, internationally, is hurt by this perception that he's basically a lame duck now?
I don't think so. I think that, at least for me as a Biden voter, I actually voted for him knowing, or hoping and knowing that he was probably going to be a one-term president, and that for me it was more about that immediate change to get Democrats in office. He's just getting too old, and I do believe that age plays a part in it, and so I would like I lament that across the board our politicians aren't younger.
Raise your hand if you've seen, observing him, on television over the years. Raise your hand if you think his mental performance, his ability to do this job is at least somewhat diminished from what it was when he was, say, vice president. Raise your hand if you think it's been at least somewhat diminished. No. So all right. So that's five of you say it's somewhat diminished. So in that same poll from National Public Radio, they asked the same question about President Trump of Republicans. Did they think that President Trump at the top of the ticket in 2024 would help Republicans win, or that someone else would be a stronger candidate? And there you see that half of Republicans said that they thought Donald Trump would be the strongest candidate they could field. So I want to hear what you all think about that, again, whether you might support Donald Trump or not. Lynn, what's your view of that question for you? Would you think of all the possibilities that Donald Trump would be the strongest possible candidate, or might someone else be a stronger candidate for the Republicans in a general election?
I guess I would be one of those unsure people. I voted for Donald Trump. I'd vote for him again. I think he did a fabulous job. I would also be happy if I wouldn't want to lose Ron DeSantis as our governor, but I think he would. I think there's several possibilities, and I don't really understand just the hatred for Donald Trump by some people, but I would hate for us to lose the election if somebody else would be a better choice.
So being a Biden voter, and I'm gonna say the same argument for Biden that I would use for Trump, and I think he's too old. I think that former President Trump, from his age and his health and all of the other things, I would say I would be more open to listening to a Republican candidate if he were younger and different.
His age is really the toss up. We saw after he got COVID, he was doing 3 to 4 MAGA rallies a day in different cities. He was very energized, but 4 years later, he could be, you never know in the late 70s what's going to happen to your health.
I think Trump has the double whammy. He's hyper polarizing, so that if we even look at like Georgia or anywhere, that does bring out Democrats to vote against him, no matter who's on the Democratic side.
Yeah, I think both parties need a generational change in candidates. I
Yes.
think we need some younger blood.
Let's pick up on what Ralph just said. I want to know how many agree. And Ralph, you should raise your hand because you agree because you said it. Raise your hand if you'd like to see younger candidates in 2024. All right, so half of you, 5 of you would like to see younger candidates, just kind of in the abstract. I'm going to ask this of all of you, again, regardless of who you might vote for, about President Biden, President Trump. First, President Biden, I'm going to use the word formidable. You can define that however you want. Raise your hand if you think if Joe Biden was the Democratic nominee in 2024, that from the point of view of winning a general election, he would be formidable. Raise your hand if you'd apply that word to Joe Biden as a general election candidate in 2024. Formidable. Nobody. Okay.
I think, no, wait. I think it is very possible that he can break it.
And let me ask you a question again, regardless of whether you'd support him or not. Raise your hand if you think Donald Trump would be a formidable candidate in 2024. Formidable candidate. All right. So the 4 of you think that. Sarah, I know you raised your hand kind of half-heartedly, but what would be formidable about him from your point of view?
I think I am from New Jersey, not a Trump fan by any means, but I think he has such control over the Republican Party right now that it would be hard for anybody else to come up and to take over his role, unless he decides not to do it. If he runs again, he will be formidable.
I think he is formidable on both sides, though. I would argue, to Robert's point, that he will absolutely energize the Democratic Party again